How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder. To recap last night's game between the Yankees and the Nationals, first game of a three-game set at Yankee Stadium. Yankees begin a stretch of games against teams that aren't very good. Between the Nationals, two more games against them, and then you got the White Sox for four games out in the Windy City. And the Yankees got off to a good start here, winning 10-5 last night. Now, it was really 10-0. The final score should have been, but Yerry De Los Santos pitched into some trouble, loaded the bases, and he was at I think he was at 47 pitches. Aaron Boone had to take him out with two outs because they got a double play to start off the inning, which was great, and you thought it was going to be a quick ninth inning. But Yerry De Los Santos ends up getting pulled from the game by Aaron Boone. They put Mark Leiter Jr. in, and he gives up a grand slam. And, so the Nationals scored 5 runs in the 10th inning. Imagine if the Nationals were able to put together a 10-run rally with two outs and the Yankees ended up losing the game. Woo! There would have been a lot of stuff to unpack there. But that didn't end up happening. That didn't happen. Yankees were in control of this game. They got off to a good start. Cody Bellinger had a sac fly in the first inning. Looked like it off the bat it was going to go out, but it did not. So Yankees scored early, and then Ben Rice hit his 21st homer of the season to make it 2-0 Yankees. That was the longest home run of his young career. Aaron Judge had a ground rule double in the bottom of the 5th inning to score a run. Bellinger, 2-run single to make it 5-0. And Jazz Chisholm hit his 25th homer of the season and had quite the bat flip when he hit this ball, and that made it 7-0. Yankees, and then Jasson Dominguez hit a 3-run homer later on in the game. That was in the bottom of the 7th inning, his 10th homer of the season. That was a wall scraper, and that made it 10-0 at that point. You had a couple of hits from Trent Grisham, Ben Rice homered. Like I said, Judge was 1 for 4, Bellinger 2 for 3 with 3 ribbies, Jazz with a 2-run homer, Goldschmidt had a couple of hits, Dominguez a 3-run homer, Ryan McMahon with the single in this game, and Jose Caballero also, with the hit, he went 1 for 4 in this game as well. And, went from, tagged up on a play, shows what he could do on the base paths. And, the Yankees are going to be going with Anthony Volpe again in tonight's game. And I just think it's a mistake. I just think it's a mistake. I think you got to continue to ride the hot hand with Caballero. But the Yankees have full confidence in Volpe, so they're going to continue to play him and hope that he gets on a hot streak again. But everybody was pretty much involved. But the big story once again out of last night was Cam Schlittler. Pitched very well last night. The fastball was really working. He was blowing by hitters with that. The curveball was working. Walked a few guys, but he had 8 strikeouts on 4 hits in 6 innings. He's got his ERA down to 2.76 on the season. And Yerry De Los Santos pitched well up until the 9th inning when he ran into some trouble, but he was gassed. The Yankees were really hoping he would finish the game, but he couldn't. And Mark Leiter Jr., of course, came on and gave up the grand slam in the 9th inning. But Cam Schlittler pitched very well. Jack Curry said this on the broadcast last night, on the postgame last night. He's allowed 3 or fewer runs in his first 8 career starts. In his first 8 career starts. The last Yankee to do that was Masahiro Tanaka back in 2014. So that's some good company there for Cam Schlittler. He has been very good since he's come up, and the Yankees need him. Yankees need him because with all the injuries that they've dealt with the rotation this year, and they really put their eggs in the Cam Schlittler basket, and so far it's paid off. It has paid off. He has been a difference maker in the rotation. And if the Yankees are going to make a run in the postseason, they first got to get there. He's going to factor into the postseason rotation. I have full confidence in that. And you wonder where is he going to start? Is he going to be, a game 2 or a game 3 starter, possibly? But I mean, obviously they're going to be playing most likely in the wild card round. So, at most it would go 3 games. But you get past that, how is it going to look in a division series? If they even go further than that. But we should see how it goes from here to the end of the regular season. Because It's not a guarantee the Yankees make it. I mean, I think the Yankees will make it, but will they go further than the wild card round? That remains to be seen. But love what I'm seeing out of Cam Schlittler. And it really, but you could definitely look ahead to next season in this regard. When you look at this rotation, Garrett Cole's coming back. You got Max Fried. You got Carlos Rodon. You got Luis Heel. Is Cam Schlittler going to be that number 5 guy? Now, you also have Will Warren to factor in. Clark Schmidt's going to be out all of next year, so he's not going to be a factor. But you really have to, look at this rotation for 2026 and say, I mean, that's a lot of, flamethrowers in that rotation. There's a lot to be excited about with that rotation going into next year, just thinking about it. So, but the Yankees, once again, did what they were supposed to do. They beat up on a bad team. The Nationals have been a very bad team this year. They, of course, fired their manager and their GM mid-season. And they got some good players, C.J. Abrams and James Wood. And the Yankees are going to be seeing Mackenzie Gore going tonight, who hasn't had a great year. But there are good players on this team, but they're not good. They are not a good team, and the Yankees should sweep this series. They should, but will they? We'll see. But I wanted to talk about Volpe for a second. So Anthony Volpe will be back in the lineup tonight. Aaron Boone, and I brought this up yesterday, that Volpe, according to Aaron Boone, is going to continue to be the shortstop regularly. They have full confidence in him. Now, I wanted to, if you're a Yankee fan and you're watching this, because Yankee fans all over are saying they're done with Volpe. They don't want him playing every day. And the one thing that keeps being brought up now is the fact that the Yankees passed on shortstops that were free agents, like Corey Seager, Trevor Story, guys like that. And they could have traded Volpe to get a Matt Olson. And the Yankees didn't do so. But I want Yankee fans to be honest with themselves. When Corey Seager was available, when these shortstops were available, when Matt Olson was being discussed as a possible trade target, were you on the side of, I want the Yankees to trade Volpe in the package, or, yeah, I want them to sign him even though we have, Anthony Volpe in the minors? Or were you on the side of, no, Anthony Volpe is going to be our shortstop. We don't need a shortstop. Like, be honest with yourselves, because it's easy to say now, the way Volpe's performing, yeah, the Yankees made a mistake. Oh, why did they not go after these big-name shortstops? It's easier to do that now because he's not playing well. But back then, during the Matt Olson trade talks, during the Corey Seager, Trevor Story free agency period, when they were available, did you want the Yankees to pursue those guys? Despite Anthony Volpe being in the minors, getting ready to come up to the big leagues. And also Oswald Peraza was going to be an option. Be honest. That I would like to know. I would like to know. Now, some people could have probably said, well, you could have maybe moved guys around. Like they still had Gleyber Torres. Maybe, well, Gleyber didn't want to play third base, but, you could have put Volpe at second or put one of them at third base. They could have did something like that. Like they did with Jazz last year, like something like that. But I would like to know. I would like to know, if you're a Yankee fan and you're watching this, what was your be honest with yourselves, what was your realistic stance on the Volpe stuff back in the day? I love how I was saying back in the day like it was years ago. It was a couple years ago. But yeah, look, once again, Caballero should be playing. Volpe, and I'm not saying you completely exile Volpe and he doesn't play at all, but the Yankees are trying to win games here. And this is being brought up too. Look at how they're handling Dominguez. Dominguez played last night, but Dominguez really doesn't play anymore. It's Bellinger, Grisham, and Stanton right now. And then Judge will be back out there. Dominguez is not playing because he struggles in the field, and as a switch hitter, he's not really a switch hitter. Can't hit from the right side. Why aren't the Yankees doing the same thing with Volpe right now? Because everybody's making a big deal. Oh, now it's not guaranteed he's going to be the shortstop going forward. He's been benched. Not really. Aaron Boone just completely shot that down. Volpe's going to be playing. Now, the one thing you could say, now this wasn't done sooner, everybody, with Volpe, because the Yankees, again, we've talked about this, the Yankees didn't have a backup shortstop, really. I mean, you had Peraza, but Peraza really just can't hit. Caballero at least gives you a little bit of pop. Peraza was giving you really nothing. So he wasn't really an option, and he was playing third base because the Yankees didn't have a third baseman after Oswaldo Cabrera got hurt. Now the Yankees finally have a guy that not only could be your backup shortstop, he can play everywhere. So that's why. That's why it kind of took so long for something like this to happen. And this is something you could work through if you're 7 games up in your division and you got a comfortable lead and you're gonna win your division with ease. But the problem is the Yankees don't have that anymore. They haven't had that. Yankees got to win baseball games. And right now, who gives the Yankees a better chance? Who gives them more productive at-bats? And who's going to play the better shortstop? Now, Caballero hasn't really been playing over at short that often, but when he's in the lineup, he's hitting. He's done well since he's come over to the Yankees. But you're going to take Caballero. Right now, most people are going to take Caballero, and Volpe's going to be on the bench. Now, you could also look at it on the flip side and say, yeah, you could be aggravated with how the Yankees are handling this and how Volpe's back in the lineup, but you could also look at it as an opportunity for Volpe to realize, hey, I really got to play with my hair on fire, because if I don't start playing better, I'm going to lose my job. And Volpe, it's frustrating because you see it at times where he gets hot, right? During that Marlins series around that time, I know that was a bad series to bring up, but he started to swing the bat better. When this guy gets rest, he comes out and he does play better. I mean, his defense has, well, outside of what we saw in the Red Sox series, but you could see the defense was starting to come back a little bit. But then it just went back to how it's been most of the year, where he's overthrowing guys and making bad plays in the field. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. And, I don't know what's going to come about it after this year. Are they just going to run it back with Volpe again? I mean, I guess. But the fan base is not going to be happy with it. And I tried to defend Volpe earlier this year because I thought it was just getting to the point where it was a little too much. And I think some people had to step back and say to themselves, look, there have been times where Volpe has shown that he could be a good player. And we saw that on the grandest stage in the World Series when he hit that grand slam. He had a good postseason. But when I said that, things just continued to get worse. And it just got to a point where I can't defend this any longer. And I feel for Volpe. I want Volpe to be good. I want Volpe to be the shortstop for this team for a long time. But it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen right now. Unless he really turns it around. He's going to have to show something over this last month. And maybe parts of the postseason as well. that he is the shortstop. He's going to have to do it. And the other thing, too, is enough with the Jeter comparisons, okay? Because that's being talked about as well in Yankee universe. All right? And it's true. Derek Jeter has not played baseball in over 10 years, okay? And we got to remember, it didn't go from Derek Jeter and then Anthony Volpe became the shortstop. Did we forget who was in between that? That was Didi Gregorius. Didi Gregorius was in between that time. If anything, Didi had big shoes to fill because he was the shortstop right after Jeter. And Yankee fans were booing Didi, chanting for Jeter. Didi was getting dragged through the mud when he first became the shortstop of the Yankees. And you know what happened? He persevered through it. And now he's a fan favorite. Now people are begging for Didi to come back at 35 years old. And he's playing baseball all over the place. I always said this. I really wish the Yankees would have at least gave him a deal to come back, because in the offseason of 2019, going into 2020, Yankees, the biggest move they made was re-sign Garrett Cole. Or sign Garrett Cole, not re-sign. Sign Garrett Cole. But they never... I don't think they offered Didi Gregorius anything. Because I think they viewed at that time Gleyber Torres was going to be the shortstop, and that obviously didn't pan out. But I would have kept Didi, and Gleyber would have been the second baseman. But they didn't do that. And I guess it ended up not affecting them really, because Didi went to Philadelphia, and he wasn't that good. So I guess the Yankees didn't make the wrong decision there. But I would have liked to have seen Didi come back. But yeah, it's just the comparisons between Jeter and Volpe. At some point, you got to stop doing that. You got to stop doing that. Comparing guys to Jeter. Jeter's gone. Jeter's not playing anymore. Jeter's been gone for years. The last time he played, I was in 9th grade. This is Anthony Volpe is Anthony Volpe. Enough with the comparisons. But that's just what happens, because when you play for the Yankees and you have all this history, yeah, you're going to get compared to guys. Like, look at Judge with, his accolades and his home runs and everything. What he's being compared to with the history of the Yankees. It's just that's what happens. You got the Jeter comparisons, and then you got, if George was alive, this wouldn't be at some point, everybody, you got to stop with that. It's just Jeter retired. He's been gone for over 10 years. George Steinbrenner, look, his son runs the team. Okay? George Steinbrenner's not here either. Got to stop with that. This is a new era. It's an era that many Yankee fans are not happy with, but it is what it is. Got to deal with it. Sorry. But yeah, really I didn't want to get into the Steinbrenner stuff, but really the main thing of this is, look, Volpe is not Jeter. He's never going to be Jeter. But you know what? It is on the Yankees in a way, because they propped him up like he was going to be the next big thing, and he really hasn't panned out. You had the general manager and the manager constantly defending him, that he's an elite player, that he's, going to put up these big numbers, and it just has not happened. So in a way, yes, the Yankees kind of hurt themselves there. Because now the fans are expecting, all right, well, you're telling us that he's going to be Jeter. Where is it? They're still waiting. So, yeah, so it's unfortunate. But I think the Yankees should learn from that. So, but yeah, it is very odd how they just constantly defend him. But he has to get up from this. Ultimately, it's up to him. Because you got most of the fan base is against you. They're ready to see you walk out the door. So how are you going to respond? You got time left. I mean, there's time is running out, but you still got some time. So let's see what he does tonight in the lineup. Back in there. Stanton's going to be back in there, I would imagine, after being off yesterday. Judge is getting closer and closer to making his return to the field. Can't wait for that. You got, I think Luis Gil is on the mound tonight against Mackenzie Gore. Like I said, it's not having a great year. 5-12, 4.11 ERA. Yankees are 71-60 on the season. Half game back of the Red Sox for the top wild card. That's who the Yankees would play in the wild card round, but they'd be playing it at Fenway. So, didn't gain any ground on the Blue Jays. Blue Jays won again yesterday. They beat up on Joe Ryan. So, when the Yankees face Joe Ryan, they can't do anything. And Joe Ryan's a good pitcher. But yeah, Yankees are 5.5 games back of the division. So, we'll see what happens tonight. But yeah, next week, that tough stretch begins. Starts on Tuesday. Yankees in Houston. And then they take on the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, the Tigers. It's a tough stretch there. Tough stretch of games. But I do think the Yankees are going to make it. I was starting to have my doubts. But where we are right now, I think they should get in. And then it's a matter of what are they going to do once they get there. I've been saying I don't think it's going to be that much. But who knows? But good news, Fernando Cruz is back. And one thing that many people are saying, and it's true, once he went down and was gone for 2 months, the bullpen just went on a tailspin. He was one of their more reliable relievers, and he's going to be someone that's going to be pitching in high leverage situations now being back. Yankees sent down Yerry De Los Santos as the corresponding move. But getting him back is huge. You know, with him and Weaver and Bednar at the back end of the bullpen, you know, that's tough. That's tough to get through as an opposing team. So, and Devin Williams has been pitching well, so, you know, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. If Devin Williams can keep pitching like how he's pitching, you know, that's tough. You know, Yankees could get, 15 outs if they have to out of the bullpen, or 12 outs out of the bullpen. That's what I meant to say. 15 outs. Yeah, we don't want to see 15. We want to see them get, well, really, I'd like to see them just have to get 6 outs tonight, and the starter goes 7 innings, but that doesn't really happen usually. So, but yeah, getting Fernando Cruz back, huge boost for the bullpen. And yeah, let's see if the Yankees could take the series tonight. But let me know what you guys think about what we talked about. We did talk a lot about Volpe. Yankees, they beat up on the bad team. That's what they do. That continued last night. So keep it going. Continue to beat up on the bad teams. And then maybe, beat the good teams, when you get to that point again. As always, everybody, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, to the video. Greatly appreciated. Also, make sure to follow us on the social media platforms in the description below, and wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to us. Just look up Infinite Sports as well. We are going to talk Giants this week. We'll talk about their final preseason game against the Patriots as they get ready now for Week 1 next Sunday against the Commanders. Can't wait. And then, like I said, we're gonna go through the NFL divisions. We'll predict who's gonna win the divisions, and who I'll have making the playoffs. I'm going over it in my head. It's tough. Those especially the wild cards. It's tough to pick the wild cards because there's teams that I gotta have to choose between, and it's tough right now. So that'll be coming up as well. And then, like I said, we're gonna try to do picks every single week too. So a lot of NFL stuff coming up. Can't wait. So as always, everybody, make sure, well, I said that already, but as always, everybody, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder signing off. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.